Kind of looks like cheese. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelby. I run a small business called Snailboat Studio where I sell crocheted plushies and tapestries and, as of very recently, apparel that I have designed because I'm a human being who's an artist, not a robot.
Bruh.
Today's video is going to be a little bit different than videos I've done in the past. Last week I talked about how much I love tapestry crochet. You can catch last week's video here. I showed off a whole bunch of Halloween crochet patterns that I really want to make, and a whole bunch of those patterns were tapestry patterns. And I thought to myself, I know how to do tapestry crochet, but not everybody knows how to do tapestry crochet. So today I'm going to teach you about tapestry crochet. Grab your pen, grab your notebook, because class is in session. Welcome to Tapestry 101. But before we get started on training our brain to learn a new skill, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel and that you hit that notification bell so that you can always see all of the silly stuff that I post. I've got lots of videos coming up about crochet projects and craft projects, ideas for holiday DIYs. They're coming up faster than you think. And all kinds of other fun stuff. And I would love to have you here. So first things first, what is tapestry crochet? Tapestry crochet is something that's also referred to as color work. It's essentially taking a graph of some sort and crocheting that graph into a physical piece. There are different types and categories of tapestry crochet, like mosaic tapestry and corner to corner tapestry. But today we're going to focus on the simplest and most basic of all tapestry crochet, which is just plain single crochet color work. You can find all kinds of tapestry patterns all over Etsy, Ravelry, Ribbler, but my favorite place to find them for free is Pinterest. Now there are thousands of tapestry grids out there for you to make. There are super talented artists that are always putting out the most amazing grids, like To Bugs and Spore Collective, to name just a couple of my favorites. But there are also thousands and thousands and thousands of free pixel grids on Pinterest, and they're especially awesome if you're just learning because so many of them are so simple and take only about 30 minutes to an hour to complete, like the one I'll be using today, which I'll show you in just a minute. So how do you choose the first one that you want to learn with? To avoid frustration and overcomplicating things, I would recommend starting with a smaller, less complicated design, as well as one that's only about 2 to 3 colors. This was the first tapestry that I ever did. This was really frustrating for me. I missed some stitches in a couple of places and I've still never blocked it. I think I want to turn this into a cute little pillow eventually. So once you pick out your graph, all you have to do is pick out which yarn colors you want to use. I recommend using a worsted weight acrylic yarn. You can also use worsted weight cotton yarn. For your hook, you can use any size that you want to, depending on how big or how small you want your project to wind out. I tend to use a 4 or a 4.5 millimeter just because those are the hook sizes that I'm the most comfortable with, but I think I made this one with a 5. Now you might take a look at some of the grids with a simpler, smaller design and say, that looks way too easy. I could totally do that. I want to try something more complicated. I really looked at this one and I said, that looks super easy and it's not even that big. I don't mind doing a bunch of colors. And then I got so frustrated that I had to put it down for like an hour. So just to practice, start out small, start out simple. And then eventually you can work your way up to something like this. This is probably my favorite piece that I've made to date. This is not my pattern. I'll link the creator in the description below, but this is also referred to as a cutout tapestry, and that's because it has that extra shape on the side, and you make cutout tapestries just by adding increases or decreases. So we're not going to talk much about that in this video. I took some time today to scroll through Pinterest to find a few simple, small graphs that are only 2 colors, and I chose one that I really liked. So let's move on over to Tutorial Kelby so we can go work on that together. So now that I have my pattern, what I like to do is open it up in Procreate. And if you don't have an iPad, you don't have Procreate, you can always print out your graph as well. And you can do this by hand, or you can open it up in Canva and type in the numbers. But what I like to do, even though this particular graph has the numbers right there, I still like to go through and label every single color just to make it easier. So when I go row by row, I can see very clearly how many squares of each color that I have. So that's 3. And then if I did my math right, 6. So that should be 14. And you can always go back, especially with Procreate, it's so easy because you can always open another layer. So I'll just go through and I'll label all of these and then we'll get right back to it. So you can see now that I have all of my color block numbered so that when I go row by row, I know exactly how many stitches of each that I need, because every single square that you see in your graph is 1 single crochet. Now let's go pick out our colors. I'm getting a vintage Nickelodeon vibe from this little TV graph. So I'm going to use this slime green and this pretty orange. I don't have a neon Nickelodeon orange right now, but I think that this will do quite nicely and the contrast will be really fun. You can use whatever hook size that you'd like. I like to use a 4 or a 4.5, and it obviously all depends on what kind of yarn that you're using, but because I'm using a worsted acrylic, I'm just gonna go ahead and use this 4. The way that we start our tapestry is just by chaining, because it's just a row by row project. So you'll take a look at your bottom row and how many stitches that you have, because remember, every single square is one single crochet. We have 20 single crochets on the bottom of this tapestry, which means that we will make 21 chains so that we can have our starter chain. So I'll make my slip knot. Then I'm going to chain 21 for this tapestry. So now that I've reached the end of my first row, I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to flip my project over to crochet the other way. This is the part where you get to decide which side is the right side and which side is the wrong side. What I mean when I say that is which way you want the design to be facing and which way that you want all of your carries and everything to be, also known as the backward side. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this my right side so I can just go with the way that the graph is presenting itself right in front of me. What I like to do as soon as I start my color changes, when I'm working in Procreate, I will add a new layer and then I will make a barrier with 2 lines that is roughly the size of 1 row, and then I will fill everything else in so that all I see is that 1 row. You can also use an amazing website called Stitch Fiddle, which I'll put the URL for right here, and I'll link it in the description below. So like I already said, this is going to be the right side of my project, which means that as soon as I get to that color change, I'm just going to do it as I would normally and leave the thread behind the project. So I've already done my chain 1 and turn for this row. And if you've never done a color change before, here is the way that we're going to do it. We'll do the amount of stitches that we're meant to. For me, it's 3. So 1, 2, 3. But on the third one, we're going to stop before we yarn over and pull through to finish our single crochet. And that is when we'll bring in our new color. And we're going to yarn over with that color instead, and we will pull through. So now we can start on our next block of colors. And for me, that's going to be 14. And once I hit that 14th stitch, it's time to color change. So I'll do these 14 stitches and then I'll meet you at that second color change so we can go over it again. Also, these colors were a good choice. They look so pretty together. Okay, so we've hit that color change, but you may notice that my other color yarn is all the way across my project. So if I were to float that yarn, which means that I would literally just pull it all the way across, then that's so much yarn that I'm wasting just letting it sit back there. So what I like to do when I have big patches of stitches between color changes, I will just cut a length of yarn for each little section. For this pattern in particular, we need our first color on either side throughout the entire project, and then we also need it in the middle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a length of yarn to live on this side, and then I will cut a length of yarn to live over on this side. I find doing this not only makes it less wasteful, but also makes untangling a little bit easier, because when you're flip-flopping back and forth between your sides, the yarns do tend to get pretty tangled, and it's a lot easier to get them untangled when they're not attached to an entire skein. So we're at our color change. I stopped at my 14th stitch because I'm about to have a color change. I yarned over and I pulled through. And now, instead of doing that with my green yarn, I'm going to do it with my orange yarn for that next color change. Just like that. I'm just going to finish up my row with my stitches. And once again, every time we get to the end of a row, we are going to chain 1 and flip it over. Now we are going to be crocheting on the wrong side, which means that we're going to be going back the other way on our tapestry grid. We'll take another look at our grid and we'll see that we just did this row here and we did it from right to left. This one we're going to crochet this way. So just pay attention to your stitches and your color changes and read it like it's a zigzag, if that makes sense. Now, color changing on the wrong side is a little bit different from color changing on the right side, because on the right side, all you have to do is do your color change, drop it, forget about it. On the wrong side, you can't really do that because you'll leave your yarn on the right side of your project and it'll poke through. You'll either have to frog all your stitches to get rid of it, or you'll have to pull it all the way through your project. And we don't really want to do that because that would be time consuming and annoying. So now I've brought back my hiding layer and I'm going to move it up with the select tool to the next row. So that's what I can focus on. So my next row, reading the graph left to right, I have 2 stitches before my color change. So the one and then the second one I stopped. When you're crocheting on the right side, literally all we do is drop it behind. But because we're crocheting on the wrong side, we're going to pull it toward us so that it's on the wrong side of the project. And I like to pull it to me and then to the side and lock it in with my thumb so it doesn't get in the way of my color change. And then you're ready to do your color change. So I'll yarn over with our other color. And if you have a stitch or two in between your color changes, that's totally okay, but you don't want your tension to be too tight because it'll warp your project and blocking won't do a ton of good for you there. And then pull your color change yarn through. And that's a color change on the wrong side. You also want to make sure that you kind of move the yarn aside that you floated if you have a few stitches in between so that you don't miss a stitch, because every stitch counts on every project, but especially in a tapestry project. So we're going to do our stitches before our color change. So once again, on the wrong side, bring it back toward you and hold onto it, because on the wrong side we want all of our loose ends and our floats and our carries so that they're not seen on the right side, which is going to be our pretty side with the beautiful design that we want the whole world to see. I'm sorry if my camera's being a little blurry. It's trying to focus on the dappled sunlight in the background on my desk, which is really lovely, but it's making my camera have a really tough time focusing on what we're doing today. We've got our color change on the back, pulling that string to the side so that it's out of the way and on the wrong side, and then we're going to pull that through. All right, it's time for our color change. For this section over here, I'm going to have its very own special little thread of green so that I don't have to carry it all the way over to the other side of my project for the entirety of this little screen. I have finished my tapestry, and what I like to do for mine to finish it completely is I will go around all of the edges of the tapestry, either with a single crochet or a scallop border or whatever you want to do to make it pretty and decorative. I also might embroider something onto this TV. I think it would be really cute. You might also notice some gaps in some of your stitches, especially when they're these little single boxes. I like to just take a needle and some of the color that is missing in the gap, and I'll literally just cross stitch or embroider a couple pieces just so they connect and it looks a little cleaner. And while I am done with this tapestry now, apart from doing the borders, it hasn't been blocked yet, but I already have some tapestries that have been blocked, so I'm going to show you how we hide all of our little ends and bits and pieces at the back. So I have this tapestry here that's already been finished, and I can do a separate video on how to do a cutout tapestry specifically, but for this video, I'm just going to show you how I'm going to make the back look a little bit cleaner. I also So on this one and on pretty much all of my tapestries, I will insert my hook on either side of the stitches right smack dab in the middle. I will just chain 5 or 6 and I'll go from one stitch to another and I'll slip stitch this little chain right in there so that you can hang it up on the wall. I know a lot of people like to use a wooden dowel or a twig or a stick or something, and that looks really pretty too. And you can sew that on or you can single crochet that on, but I prefer the little loops. I just think that they're so darn cute. So what I like to do, especially if I make my little loops, I will weave in any of the extra ends. And if you don't know what weaving in your ends means, I had no idea what it meant when I first started. And it literally just means taking your loose ends and weaving them into the stitches. So you'll go in through the stitches a few times back and forth and just cut it off, just so it's not going anywhere and it's stuck in there for life. So I'm going to do that really quick with any of my loose ends, and then the longer ends that I have, I've already tied together and cut off the ends so they're not too big and bulky, because that's my personal preference. Again, this is all personal preference stuff, but it's just what I do, and I've always found that they're very secure. And then with this project, because, oh, now it says poo. With this one, because my color changes were so frequent and so close together, I didn't actually need to do all of my different sections of yarn like how I did on this one. With bigger sections projects, I like to have my different bobbins of all my threads, or like my different sections of all of my threads. But with a smaller project like this with shorter distances, I will just carry or float my yarn, which means I'll just switch it and bring it along with me as I go. It doesn't create nearly as much waste as a project with bigger areas between your color changes. My ends are all woven in, and it's time for me to back my piece. Now this step is completely optional. You never have to do this if you don't want to. Like, if this is just going to be a tapestry for you and you don't care, then that's your preference. This one is just mine. So what I do is I take a piece of felt. I use this really stiff felt because it helps to stabilize the project, and I will measure the project against it, leaving a little bit of room at the edges just in case I want to crochet anything along the edges after I've backed it, because sometimes I'll back a piece and then I'll decide after I'm done, oh, that would look really cute with a different colored border or something. I like to leave myself the option, and then I hot glue it on the back. And the mixture of the hot glue and the felt helps stabilize it and stiffen it up really well. Here's an example of a tapestry that I put the felt onto already. See how when I bend it, it's less floppy and it's just stable. If your piece isn't fully blocked and it's a little bendy, then the felt, especially the stiff felt, is perfect. And on top of that, it hides all your ends just in case you don't want to look at them or you don't want other people to see them. I did a rough measure of my felt, and I'm going to put it up against my piece, and I'm going to cut off any of the excess that I don't need so that it fits the back a little better. And that's a pretty good fit. So now I'm gonna get my hot glue gun warming up and I will glue it on there. And then this piece is all done and ready to go. And here is our finished tapestry. It's still the same day, so it's not blocked and it's not backed. I think it turned out so cute. It is so Nickelodeon. This grid is 20 by 20, which means that it's a square, and I could turn it into a bunch of other squares and I could make something out of it. I think I might do that and either just do different colors for the TV or just flip-flop the colors. I don't know. I have a lot of ideas, but I really like this one. I also have a bunch of patterns for granny squares that are inspired by movies and TV shows that I like, and I think it'd be really cute to make a patchwork sweater or tote bag out of little TVs and movies and shows that I like. Would you guys like to see that project if that's something I wind up doing? Let me know in the comments. And also let me know if you found this tutorial helpful, what other kinds of tutorials you want to see from me in the future, or any video ideas that you want to see in the future. As always, thank you so much to members of the Cutie Pie Club, aka my Patreon. Your support means literally the entire world to me. I think it is so wild that all of these wonderful people are supportive of me and my hopes and my dreams, and it just makes me so happy. If you would like to join the Cutie Pie Club, the link to join will be in the description. The smallest tier is only $3 a month, and with that you get access to behind the scenes stuff, like unreleased sketches of a future plushie and crochet project ideas. Every month you'll get some kind of fun digital goodie that I designed, like a phone wallpaper, a coloring sheet. A couple of months ago, I made paper dolls of a teddy bear that you could print out and color and cut out his little clothes and give him different outfits. I'm working on scheduling a spooky live stream just for my patrons this month, so if you're interested in that, I would highly recommend joining. That is going to do it for me today, my friends. I hope you have a day as amazing as you are, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!